Morning. Appreciate y'all being here. Pro day today. We'll get started this afternoon, and appreciate all the NFL personnel being here for that, and excited for our six guys that are gonna work out. I've seen most of them. They've been here the last week or so, putting in some finishing touches on getting ready for this day. So excited for those guys. Day 4 here for us. I can't remember. I don't think I hit this last time, but really kind of overreaching goals that we're talking about for this 15 practices here. Really establishing. First one, establishing the standards with how we want to practice, meet, walk through. Second one was growth. And we got to show some real growth in our fundamentals, our scheme, and our situation awareness. And the third thing is through competition, figuring out who we can win with. It's on the roster right now. And the way that we present that is we have 15 spring practices to show that you're ready. And then anybody that we add to the roster is going to have another 14 practices, which is essentially the first 2 weeks of camp, to show that they're ready in fall. And so these are the guys that are on the roster right now. It's their opportunity to show that they're ready to go play against Pitt and the rest of our Big 12 schedule. And we do that offense, defense, and special teams. A lot of competitions within special teams. I think y'all saw those the last couple of days y'all have been out there. We had Professor Day last Thursday. That was the open practice. Y'all saw that. We had a really good turnout. Appreciate them coming out. And then we had Family Day on Saturday. We had almost 170 of our families that were here watching practice. And I appreciate them being here as well. But the reason I say that, today was the first kind of real spring practice, so to speak. And what I mean by that is first day, everybody's excited. Second day, we had a lot of faculty and staff and professors here, so there was a crowd. And then our families were here and watched the practice on Saturday. So this was the first one that, other than some recruits and things like that, some NFL personnel, that's all that was there. And so I thought it was good work. I thought we lacked a sense of urgency just overall, but still good work. I like the demeanor of this team. I like the youthfulness of this team. I think we've got a good mix between some established guys that are veterans and some youth. And so through week 1, and this really didn't count today, but just through week 1, I'm going to give you some guys that have stood out in my eyes. Is special teams wise, is Brinkman has had a tremendous first 3 days, and I didn't see any signs of him falling off today. But he's gotten stronger. His times have been lower than at any point they were during the fall. Offensively, I'm going to start up front. Wyatt Milam making the switch to left tackle. I think that's going to be a great fit for him. He's left-handed. He's ball get off. He's added weight and strength. And I think that's shown. Zach Frazier continues to play at a high level, and he's easy to forget just because he practices consistently every day. Sometimes I forget to mention his name just because that's my expectation for him to be an elite player every single day. But he's done that. I think he's as consistent and playing at as good a level as anybody on our football team. And the other guy and we need him to come on that's had a good first week is Jordan White. He's still got to put on some weight, but his fundamentals have vastly improved, and he's a guy that we really need to come on and be one of our top 7 guys. And he's shown that ability through the first 3, and I think he had another good day today. And then Bryce Wheaton may have had his best practice that he's ever had here on Saturday. He was dominant in our special teams competition, and I think he's playing well. And then Tony Mathis, and you guys saw him on Thursday and some on Saturday. He's really being patient. He's getting downhill. He's strong enough to run through tackles, and he's improved his lateral agility. Some new guys that are sticking out. Jarrell Williams has been really solid, probably a little further ahead than maybe I thought he would be, and he's getting a lot of reps, and he's been productive. Brian Palende is a guy that's really going to help us. He's as good an inline blocker as we've had here during my tenure at tight end, and I like what he's doing. And he's really kind of growing as a pass catcher. It's something he hasn't been asked to do at his previous stops, but he's growing in that. And then Lynn J. Dixon had his best practice today, and he gives us the ability to hit the home run. Defensively, some guys that through the first week are Jalen Thornton. Again, I would say similar to Jordan White is Thornton is a kid that we really need to come on. He needs a guy. He played well in the bowl game. I think I mentioned that earlier. He is, and we need him to come on, and he's starting to play better. And Lance Dixon's had a really solid first week. He's been more physical. He's always been one of the fastest guys, but he's been really physical. Charles Woods is playing like we expect him to play. He's had multiple picks the last 2 practices. Naeem Muhammad, and he's a guy that he's had practices with back-to-back picks. And then Aubrey Burks and Davis Mallinger, both in the secondary. We're playing Davis more down at that spear position, which is different than the people that we've been playing at that position. He's faster, and he also gives us the ability to play man coverage at that position. And then Aubrey is playing safety and doing a nice job. I think coming off his shoulder injury where he had to miss the last half of the season, he's stronger and he's running better. New guys that stuck out, Moo had his best day today. He had 2 picks. And then Lee Koba is doing a nice job at middle linebacker. And then Zaki Lawton, I think he's probably more advanced than maybe I anticipated when we signed him. And then Marcus Floyd is doing a nice job. We're moving him around. He's playing primarily safety right now, but he's doing a nice job. So want to continue to give you guys like particular individuals I think that are performing well in practice. And so with that, I'll take questions.
So you talked about growth. Is it hard to determine until you really get pads on and get a few days then, or what can you tell to this point?
Well, the fundamental piece is something that we've really strived on all winter. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure that when the lights go on and maybe you get in a pressure situation, and it's all we try to create these pressure situations in practice. Obviously we don't have fans in the stands for the most part, but we try to create these pressure situations. So we want to make sure that your fundamentals uphold that pressure. And so, and I thought they did a nice job of that on Saturday. I thought offensively, particularly today, I thought we lost some of our fundamental training that we've been striving for. The scheme, I think I'm pleased with how our staff is teaching. Obviously defensively we've been running the scheme now, going on year 4. This is the first spring with Graham's scheme, but I think we haven't had a whole lot of missed assignments offensively, so I've been pleased with that. And then situationally, that's something that to answer your question is when you get pads on, you really understand and you start playing. Like we just put the ball down and played today for really the first time. And our awareness of down and distance has got to continue to get better, because what we do is we just get worried about playing and trying to get through rather than understanding what the situation is.
Does the idea of starting with Pitt, does that add anything here? I mean, is there a certain added?
I think so. Yeah, I think we have to have a sense of urgency, without a doubt. It's something that we've talked about. We didn't do a good enough job last year. I don't think as a staff or as a team we did a good enough job on the build up into Maryland. And we didn't play very well. A game that we felt like that we just didn't play very well, and that's why the result didn't go our way. But we're being intentional about our build up into this game. It's something that we've constantly been mentioning as we started spring ball. That's something that we'll carry over in the summer and then obviously into fall camp. But we've got to have a sense of urgency, because I think in 156 days we're going to line up and play.
A little bit of a step back that you mentioned today in fundamentals, is that to be expected? I mean, I know you don't want it, but is that kind of up and down, that it's always not going to be a straight
up? I think that's fair. Yeah, Kevin, I think that's fair. What you want to do is you want to see, when you point it out on tape, like I think the most important thing for me is not repeating the same mistakes. If we can get where we continue to grow and we're not repeating those same exact mistakes, then I think that. And then the other thing too, fundamentals wise, we want to stress those, but also your effort can overcome some things, and especially defensively. If we can get 11 hats to the ball, we can overcome some fundamental errors. And so stressing that and then showing that on video where our guys understand that.
Neal, so far with the receivers, it sounds like it's set up for a small number of guys that you have to succeed, because it's limited reps and you're just doing things over and over. What have you seen so far from who you have?
Yeah, so I thought Caden Prather had 3 really good days. Took a step back today, but I think he's on the verge of being a special type player. Sam and Bryce have been really consistent. Reese was off to a good start, and then got hurt, and he'll miss about a week. He should be back. Nothing serious. And then Jarrell Williams is taking advantage of those reps, being a young guy. And then Preston Fox, y'all watched him. All he does is catch the ball, So and if I was going to list the traits of a receiver, like catching the football, would probably be right at the top. And he like it's and you'll see this when we have some more open practices and stuff. But the kid just catches the ball. He makes contested catches, and so that's a credit to him.
What are you looking at the rest of this week? Thursday, do you put the ball down Saturday and play?
So Thursday, we're going to do that Thursday, and I'm going to see how Thursday goes. We're going to do some of our group periods and our individual periods, but we're going to put it down for extended periods of time. We did one 15-minute period a day, John. We're going to do 2 15-minute periods where we just put it down and play, move the ball around, and we've got almost a full crew of officials, Big 12, Big 10 guys that are here working. So we'll do that, and then based on how that goes, we'll determine Saturday. We're going to have to be careful tackling. I just think that's we're going to have to be. We're going to tackle a little bit on Saturday, but it's not going to be the old days where we go out there for 100 plays. We just don't have the bodies.
Quarterback going about as expected, up and down, or
Yeah, up and down. Yeah, it's I think Garrett's the oldest, and he's probably been the most consistent. He probably hadn't had as many highs or as many lows as the other two. Nico had a great day on Thursday, kind of had his welcome to college football moments on Saturday where it got loud in there and defense started making some plays. And, got to remember he's a high school senior too. And so I thought he bounced back and did a better job today. And then Goose has been a little bit up and down as well. But I think overall, what you want to do is you want to get probably into the double-digit practices before you really have a feel kind of what they're doing.
Follow up with Mike's question on receivers. Tony Washington, new coach. We've talked a lot about Graham Harrell. Your thoughts on him? And
Yeah, I think Tony's a really good teacher. I like his temperament with the guys. This is a different style of offense than he's been in, and he's been hungry to learn. I think that's one of the things that really drew him here. And I think he's got, the things that I like. He played in the NFL. He's played in numerous winning programs. He's played in multiple offenses, so he's able to bring ideas. And he's been a developer. He's got a guy that should get drafted from Coastal this year, and they've got another one that's coming up the pipe that should be a drafted kid as well. And he's proven recruiting wise. He's been able to evaluate guys and close. So I think there's a lot of positives. He's learning in this scheme, but I like what I see so far.
Neal, is there any room in this spring to do like experimental stuff that when you're watching or you're scouting other teams that you see things you're like, oh, that's cool, I'd like to try that? Or are you so focused on
More so defensively? Defensively, we're doing some things, more in some situational things defensively that we want to grow our package in, and also anticipating what our personnel look like in the fall. And so even though we may not have the exact bodies that we need for these situational packages, we're going ahead practices and getting some reps, and I think that's something just from an overall standpoint in the spring, like you're preparing for the fall. And so I'm constantly telling our staff, hey, we're preparing for the fall. Remember, we're preparing for the fall. So we might not have all the 11 bodies we want, but we're getting quality reps for maybe 9 out of the 11, or maybe it's 7 on a particular rep. And so it's about preparation for the fall. The other thing that we're trying to do, and really from an offense standpoint, Mike, what we're doing is really installing the offense, but we're really being intentional about getting the looks that we know we're going to see from the teams that we play in the fall. And so maybe we're not going to see the exact way that Baylor's going to play or from our defense, but so we got to get that in some scout periods or some walkthrough things.
I know at Troy you built a lot of your defense around the bandit, moving him off the line to the mic and whatever a little bit. Has that morphed a little bit some more to the spear and building out from that position, or?
Yeah, so what we've done is I think it depends. Like I think one of the strengths of the scheme that we run defensively, we're able to kind of mold it to around our strengths, right? From a coverage standpoint and from how we play the run and how we pressure. At Troy, we were really fortunate because even right before I got there, they had a guy named DeMarcus Ware, and the way he played it was different than the way we played it after Vic left the first time. But then coming back, when we went back to Troy, I think we went maybe 2 years in a row. We had really all 4 years there, we had a first-team all-conference player that played the Bandit. But I think in 16 to 17, we had the defensive player of the year that played the Bandit. And so at that level, we had elite-type players. We've played good at that position, but we've got to make a steady jump, right? So we haven't been able to do some of the things we did at Troy just because our play hasn't been as consistent there. And so now I do believe that Jared and Linnell are making some strides this spring. Are we ready to build a defense around them? Probably not yet. But I think Bartlett's ability and Linnell's ability to rush the passer, like they're good. Like their best has been really good. We just need that to be on a more consistent basis. And what we want to have is more flexibility out of the spear. Like we've got to be able to play more man coverage than we've played here in the last 2 years. We have to, and because teams, what they started doing is started max protecting us. And when we're having to play zone coverage and they're max protecting, when you're playing zone and they're going to max protect with 6 or 7 in protection, you're only rushing 4 or 5. That's not good numbers, right? And so we got to be able to send 6 and play some man coverage.
You mentioned pro day real quick. Can you expound on it a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's something obviously that's very significant for these 6 individuals, but I think it's important for our program too. Is we always talk about 3 goals. We want to develop men, we want to win, we want to graduate in place. And I tell parents this up front is the graduation piece. Like, and we've been very fortunate. Credit to our academic staff. We graduated 100% the year before I got here. In these last 3 years, everybody that exasperated their eligibility graduated 100%. That's a credit to our academic staff. And what we're really working on is placement. Well, there's no better place that we can put our student athletes that they're going to make a better first year salary is in an NFL, right? Now, all of them are going to make it, but that's the goal when you come and play, big time college football. And so excited for these guys. They have the opportunity. Today's a showcase day for them, and Letty obviously had the combine. He'll have a follow up today, but for these other 5 guys, this is the main piece of them proving that they're ready to go on and play at the National Football League or in one of the other leagues.
You mentioned White. Any other guys, backups, O-line wise, that are emerging or still?
Yeah, Hubbard's getting better. His play strength's getting better. I think that he's a guy that has steadily improved. His body's gone through over about an 18-month period as big a transformation as I've had as a coach, really. He lost close to 50 pounds, and now he's put about 20 of it back, and his body's just completely different. He has really good ball get off. He's got to continue to improve his lower body strength and be able to hold point at contact. But he's a guy that we need to continue to come. I think Nick Malone has quietly grown to 300 pounds. I think, and y'all have heard me say this now, I really felt like this when his first fall camp. I was like, okay, pleasantly surprised how well he moved. And he's continued to grow, and I'm not sure he won't be a factor for us before it's all said and done.
He used him in big packages last year.
Yeah, we used him as a tight end. We did. Probably should have done more of that at the bowl game, really, because he was able to block those guys that are going to be drafted kids at Minnesota.
The constitution, this team that you talked about, the youthfulness, but also kind of old in the right spots. I wonder if you would, kind of compare that to what you had the first couple times, and also what can you do with that might be beneficial for you?
Yeah.
Or is it beneficial? I don't know.
Well, the thing that you like is, like, when you have a team, when you have older teams, those are sometimes the hardest group to coach. And what I mean by that is nothing's new for them, right? They've already done everything. They've already been through 4 spring practices. They've already been through a fall camp. They've already done the winter deal. They've already done the summer deal. And so, when you have youth, they're eager for everything, right? They're eager to prove themselves. They're hungry because they haven't had the opportunity to go out in front of packed stadiums and really show what they can do. And so what you would like to have is you like to have a mix, right? You'd like to have a group of veteran leaders that are mature in their approach, that understand, you go through the process. Why do you go through those processes? That are able to talk to guys level-headed. And then you got the youth that have great energy, right? And so, compared to last year, last year offensively we were pretty young throughout, and defensively we were an older group without a whole lot of youth that played. Now on both sides of the ball, because you look at it offensively, we've got guys now that have played 2 and 3 years. Obviously we're young at quarterback. We don't have a ton of depth at receiver right now. We will when fall camp starts. But we've got a good group there. Some of those younger running backs, younger receivers, and then some of those down the line guys, offensive line wise. And then we've got a group of the first 5 offensive linemen, the older 2 tight ends, and the older 3 receivers. They played a lot of football, so it's a good mix there. And then defensively, what you look at is really in that front. Lee Coba's played football at Syracuse and in junior college. It's new here. But that front 6, we've got a ton of experience. And then in the back, outside of Charles, we don't have a whole lot, and so we're going to add, y'all seen that. We're going to add some other veterans back in that secondary. But right now it's a kind of a good mix, especially when we get all 11 of them together on defense. So it's fun to coach young guys because you see them progress day to day. I hope that answered your question. I want to know about the Bourbon Trail. He said you were at the Bourbon Trail on Saturday.
Man, that really got around, didn't it?
Huh?
Was it that bad?
Huh? Well, I'm from Bardstown, so they
I heard that from several people, actually.
Okay, anything
Anybody else? Good deal. Thank y'all for being here.